So thank you everyone for joining. My name's Steve Elbourn and I'm the Director of ITIC, and probably the reason why you're here this morning is because you may have seen a video that I did a few weeks back on unified calls and recording, which is where we combined Cisco on-prem CUCM, Microsoft Teams and native mobile for, I suppose, a seamless transition of calls between the system. Now, there's been a lot of feedback from that video. So we had nearly 4,000 views of the video itself. It's been reshared. It's up on YouTube. So there seems to be a lot of interest in that. And it seems to be, I suppose, a problem that people are looking to solve at the moment. So as part of that, we decided to get together, and I've got the guys from SpokePhone on the call, just to, I suppose, share with you the technology behind that innovation, which is SpokePhone, which sits on Twilio. So I've got Jason Kerr and the guys from SpokePhone on the call, and they'll assist in the presentation as well. Okay, so about me, my name is Steve Elbourn, and as I said, I'm the Director of ITIC, which is a integration professional services company. I also have a couple of software development companies as well. And we work together on Cisco and Microsoft, and also obviously the integration piece that we've been demonstrating through our videos and through our social media posts. My background's in the telecommunications industry. I worked for Telstra for more than 20 years, and I've led large enterprise and government technology refresh projects, specifically around Cisco. Have a very strong background in Cisco, but also various collaboration platforms. Worked on system integrations in, I suppose, highly complex environments using SIP, and also run a software development team, as I mentioned. So I suppose before we move into the presentation, just a bit of an agenda for how we're going to run the presentation today. The plan is I'll sort of go through an introduction, talk about the video that we made, and then I'll hand over to Jason Kerr, who's the CEO of SpokePhone, just to go through some of the rich feature set that SpokePhone actually provides. So one of the key things I think it's important to understand is that whilst the integration for Teams and Call Manager and mobile devices allows a call on any device, anywhere, anytime, moving or integrating with SpokePhone actually gives you a lot more than that. So there's a whole digital transformation piece that sits behind that, and that's the core value of what SpokePhone's all about. So whilst the ITIC partnership with SpokePhones is fantastic and it's solving an immediate need, I think it's important also to see the bigger picture and see where you can go with this longer term as well for yourself, your business, and potentially your customers. So I'll do an introduction, we'll hand over to Jason, and then I'll come back and do the technical wrap up at the end, and then we'll have an open forum for Q&A. Okay, so why should we integrate with Teams and Call Manager right now? So based on my experience in the industry, there's a number of different platforms that are, I suppose, commonplace, and Cisco being one of them. Avaya, Mitel, some of the legacy platforms that we've all probably worked on over the years. And what we've seen now, particularly in the last couple of years, is the emergence of Office 365. Skype and Skype for Business has been around for quite a while. On the Cisco side, we sort of integrated through CUCM, which was the integration for Microsoft Office Communicator. We've sort of been playing with integrations for a long period of time, but now it's become very obvious, and there's an immediate need, given that with the COVID lockdowns and the mass migration, I suppose, across onto video and collaboration tools. Once people get back in the office, this is going to be something that your customers are going to be asking for. So just on that slide, you can see in the first week of COVID lockdowns in early March, Microsoft onboarded 12 million additional users in 1 week. So the uptake of Teams has been pretty phenomenal. And what you're going to find if you're a system integrator is that your customers are going to be coming to you to say, okay, well, I want to set up direct routing, and how do I do that? And what options are there for integrating my Teams environment back into my on-prem system? So that's something I believe is going to be top of mind probably in the next 12 months. And that's something, as I said, that SpokePhone and Twilio can address for you based on the video that we did. Okay, so in the solution, now I'll cover this part of the technical side, and then as I said at the end, I'll come back and go through the architecture diagrams, and then the technical guys on the call can ask questions as required. So basically the technology components in the video that we made included our on-prem system, which was the ITIC production call manager with our Cisco Cube. Now we have a cloud SIP provider for the Cube. We also integrated a second SIP trunk into Twilio, which is how we connect into SpokePhone. We set up a Ribbon SBC hosted in the Azure cloud, sitting alongside our Teams environment, obviously. And our Office 365 environment has Microsoft E3 license and a phone system license for each user, as well as Microsoft Teams direct routing configured. And as I mentioned, the Twilio SIP trunk was for the SpokePhone integration. So what I'll do now, I'm going to, for those of you who haven't seen the video, enjoy. For those of you who did see the video that I posted on LinkedIn, what this one does is a bit shorter, but it includes the bit that you didn't see, which is how I use the app to move the calls between the different devices. So what I'll do is I'll play that now. Now let me just double check that you're going to get my audio, so just hold on a sec. Everyone can see my screen okay. Let me mute. And I'll play this video. So as I said, for those of you who've already seen it, this isn't as you saw it on LinkedIn. This is actually with the background app screen, and you'll see once we get to the point where we're transferring calls, you'll see what was done in the background, which I think you'll find quite interesting.
Hi everyone, this is Steve Elbourn from ITIC Systems. What we have for the demonstration is we have a PSTN phone that we'll make the external call from. We have an internal Cisco phone, a Teams client, and a native mobile phone. When we make an internal call from the PSTN, all of these devices will ring, and then irrespective of which device we answer the call on, we'll have call recording. So when we initiate a call from outside, we've got the Cisco phone ringing, we've got the mobile phone ringing, and we've got the Teams client ringing. So in this case, I'll answer it on the Cisco phone, and once we answer the call, we'll have call recording initiated as well. For the next demonstration, then we'll do the answer on the Teams client, and then the call will come through and we can answer that on the Teams client. We've answered the call on the Teams client, and it's also being recorded. And then finally, we'll initiate a call. In this case, we've answered the call on the mobile phone. And all of this can happen individually. So if you're in the office, you can answer it on your office phone. If you're in the office or at home, you can answer it on your Teams client. And if you're out mobile, you can answer it on the mobile device. And every call, irrespective of the device, once again, is going to be call recorded. What we can do is also allow transfer between devices. So the app will allow us to switch from the mobile phone to the Teams client. So now the call transfer will go through, and we are talking on our external phone to our Teams client. If we want to transfer the call between the Teams client and the desk phone, we can also do that through the app. You can see the transfers being initiated. We answer and we connect, and now the call is between the external call and the Cisco phone. If we want to transfer back to the Teams app, we can do that again. You can see the Teams app's calling at the moment. We answer that. And go on mute. And now we're talking between the Teams client and the external call. So transfers are possible, call recording's always on, and I'm very excited about this moving forward.
Okay, so that was the video with our live Spoke phone demonstration included. So I'd like to, at this point, introduce Jason Kerr, who's the CEO of Spoke phone, and I'm pleased to announce also that ITIC is as of this week, a Platinum Spoke phone build partner. So for this technology that you're about to see, we can help you with that to build and deploy, or you can potentially become a Spoke phone partner at some point as well. But as I said, the main reason for this demonstration, let's show the background for the video that was made, but also to give you an understanding of what the roadmap is for Spoke phone and what the rich feature set is that it can provide. So I'll hand over to Jason, and we'll just go through the other features of Spoke phone at this point. And then at the end, I'll come back and we'll cover the technical aspects and the architecture. So over to you, Jason.
Thanks, Steve. So as you saw in that demo, or kind of saw, we'll send you the video link so you can watch that in real time afterwards. But that demonstration was using Spoke phone to unify not only the calls and call recording, but call control across Teams, Cisco and mobile. And at Spoke phone, we go a whole lot further than that. We're going to show you some of that other capabilities that you get when you implement Spoke phone to unify your calls. And what we're trying to do here at Spoke phone is allow mobile workers to be out of the office on a mobile phone, but have all the same capabilities and benefits as if they were in the office. So we're trying to get them to work like they're in the office just using a mobile. And companies implement this because they're looking to improve their mobile worker productivity, the oversight that they get to what mobile workers are doing, saying, recording on calls, and they're trying to dramatically improve customer experiences. And that's where Spoke phone sits in. And we'll just take a very quick look at some of the capabilities. So as you saw, if we go to the next slide, Steve, there is an app, and we like to think this is actually the world's best mobile phone call. We've spent the last 4 years and millions of calls honing the experience that both customers and users get in a mobile environment. So we're able to deliver really good customer experiences to people on mobile phones. Very, very simple for employees to use. It's built mobile first. It's an entire phone system in their hand, right? As Stephen said, transfer, conference, CRM integration, a whole lot of other things inside that call made very simple to use. And we'll have a look at some of those things. But the benefits start becoming in on the right-hand side of this page, where you're able to insert your business process, your IP, your custom forms, your data, the things that you want mobile workers to follow whilst they're on these calls. We'll take a quick look at that. It's really unique. Obviously, you can integrate all of your key systems, your HR, your finance, your CRMs, etc., inside of mobile phone calls. And one of the unique things that Spoke does, because it's mobile, we've had to make it work elegantly on all kinds of data, whether it's 3G, 4G, or Wi-Fi, but even the ability to drop from a Wi-Fi call to a carrier signal call live during the call as your data degrades when you're driving around. So there's some really interesting pieces around the Spoke Phones app, and it's all about how do we enable and empower mobile workers to have really good customer conversations and outcomes and be more productive. And we'll have a quick look, Steve, if we go to the next slide. Next slide, Steve, thanks. So you can customize SpokePhone to implement your business needs. Now, in the past, this has only ever been possible in a contact center for back office. But how do we get some of that structure to front office workers? So with SpokePhone, you're able to design forms and content that get injected right inside mobile phone calls. And what you're trying to do is empower your employees with customer information, with process, with things to guide them, because you really want to help them have conversations that drive better outcomes. And this is not scripted conversations. This is anything that you want: fields, contact information, injectables, because you're trying to have these mobile workers to have as much power as their cohorts back in the office to drive great customer outcomes. And the final part of that is we then collect this information and made it available through APIs and webhooks so that you can increase productivity dramatically. The whole goal of Spoke is that the moment I hang up, all of your administration is done, your data is submitted to where it needs to go cross-functionally. The best part about all of this, of course, as you've seen in the demonstration, we can go to the next slide, Steve, is that you can implement SpokePhone over top of the infrastructure you already have, the numbers you already have, the providers you already have, the carriers you already have, without having to change any employee process, customer expectations, or disrupt your business at all. Obviously, SpokePhone can stand alone by itself, but most people want to integrate it to their Cisco platform or their Teams or Avaya or maybe Twilio Flex. They want to connect Twilio Flex to Cisco, those types of use cases. So we'll just bounce along and have a look at some of those, Steve, on the next slide. So in this demonstration, you saw what we call unified calls and recording, the ability to connect and control calls and customer experiences across multiple platforms, whether it be Cisco, Avaya, Twilio Flex, Amazon Connect, Microsoft Teams, mobiles, or whatever it may be. The other use cases that we're really seeing is all about compliance, oversight, and productivity for mobile workers, right? Capturing what they're doing, saying, and customers agreeing to on mobile calls, recording it into NICE or Verint, or wherever you have those repositories. It's really all about improving customer experiences. How do we have consistent conversations with people that are not in the office a lot of the time? And how do we increase sales, but also reduce training in high churn environments? When people are mobile, they're not in the office to receive training. You don't get FaceTime with them. By using Spoke's injected conversations, you're able to guide employees to have better conversations more often, which result in better outcomes. Unified calls and recording, we saw another big use case we're seeing is people are wholesale upgrading their PBX for mobility. So rather than just single number reach, I want rich call control, CRM integration, data integration, guided conversations on my Cisco platform. I can overlay my Cisco platform with Spoke and get all of those things. So lots of different use cases, and partners like Stephen are coming up with more every time they talk to a customer about how they might use this platform. You just go to the next slide, Steve. So the whole goal of Spoke is to improve a mobile workforce's productivity. We see 15 to 20% increase in productivity. Give the business oversight and compliance about what's being said and done by mobile workers on mobile phones, and really improve the customer experiences so that when they deal with a mobile worker, it's the same experience as dealing with someone in the office, the same quality, in fact, better quality, as that's what we're trying to achieve. And one more, Steve. So look, the outcome can kind of be summed up in these four things. You're able to drive accountability and compliance into mobile phone calls. You're able to enable your frontline workforce with tools that have, till now, only been available to office workers and contact centers. You're able to increase productivity and business outcomes by guiding those conversations, influencing outcomes, and doing administration work for people the moment they hang up. And the whole idea here is that we're trying to keep your business conversations safe and secure, no matter where your people are working from. So look, there's a lot more to SpokePhone. At the end, Steve's going to take you through the technical implementation of the overlay, what we call augmentation of Cisco. And at the end, you'll also have an opportunity to get your hands on this technology in a bit of a sandbox and a playground, should you wish. But thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Jason. That was excellent. Now, I suppose one of the things that drew me to SpokePhone as a technology, as a product, was what you saw in the video. So when I was introduced to SpokePhone through Twilio, so ITIC is also a Twilio build partner for Twilio Flex, which is the Twilio Cloud Contact Center platform. when I was introduced to Spoke Phone, I immediately saw the problem that it was going to solve, or the two problems that it was going to solve. One is the one that we've demonstrated, which is around integration of disparate systems. The other is around call recording across any device and any carrier, because enterprise customers who have a compliance and risk process that they need to manage that relies on call recording, a lot of the time you find that those customers are compliant when the users are in the office on the office phone. But when you look at what's happened as a result of COVID, we now have mobile workers. And companies need to address the acquisition of those call recordings as well as the centralized management of those. So as an engineer, as a telecommunications engineer, one of the things that I immediately saw with Spoke Phone was the power that it gave to system integrators to pull things together easily. And there's a couple of different ways that we can do that I'll go through. But secondly, then I immediately saw the benefit of the mobility and rich feature set that it gives to allow those mobile and remote workers, and even from within the office. I mean, it's entirely possible that someone could be using the Spoke Phone app while working on their desktop in the office to do all of that tagging and call recording and CRM, I suppose, data discovery from the Spoke Phone app, irrespective of whether in the office or mobile or remote. But finally, I think the best feature of Spoke Phone, given the new world of COVID, is that when you look at being able to guide a conversation through forms that are available on the mobile phone, one of the biggest challenges that people are going to have who run businesses and manage staff is how do you train and embed that sort of business knowledge into new starters. So everyone went remote. We all know how to do our jobs. We didn't have any real issue. We just did it from another place. But as companies move on and people move on, there's going to be a whole range of new starters that will be coming in that aren't necessarily going to be working in the office. And what Spoke Phone does from that perspective is allow those workers to be guided through the process of talking to that company that they work for's customers and having a consistent and repeatable way of dealing with those customers. And that's where the power of that sort of rich feature set what I saw after I immediately saw the fix for the integration problem, the rich feature set actually blows your mind when you think about what it can do to transform the way that people work remotely. So apart from that, why Spoke Phone and Twilio? So we needed a way to control the calls at a higher level to build the bridge between the two systems. So Spoke Phone provides the call control and the delivery of the calls and the conferencing and the dial plan, call forking obviously, so we can call any device at the same time, and then wherever it lands and whoever answers it, the call will be recorded. And one of the main things that it does is it sort of releases us from this traditional on-prem licensing model, because we can invoke a new Spoke user quickly and easily without consuming a new license that we're going to have to pay and I suppose, use over a period of time. It can be spun up and spun down. It provides elastic capacity for conferencing. So normally you're limited to your on-prem systems conference capability or conference bridge. In the case of Call Manager, it's usually 8 parties. And also you're limited by the SIP trunk sessions that you can have from your carriage provider as well. So sending the calls out via Spoke Phone immediately allows you to scale up and scale down on your inbound, outbound call capacity. Okay, so firstly, I'll share with you the integration method for what you saw in the video, which was the Teams and the Call Manager on-prem integration. So what we did, we had our existing on-prem solution. So we had Microsoft Teams clients within the office. We had our call manager and our Cube. And then within the Microsoft Cloud, we had our Teams or Office 365 environment. From a Cube perspective, our inbound calls would come via our SIP provider, land on our Cube, and then land on our desk phones within the office. Mobiles obviously were separate, and Teams, also Microsoft Teams was separate. What we did was we provided a way for SpokePhone to connect into a newly deployed Ribbon SBC in our case that we deployed, SWE Lite with 10 sessions. So we deployed that within Azure next to our Teams environment, which meant that we could send a call in via SpokePhone, via the SBC, ring on Teams, ring on Call Manager, and then go out via the PSTN and ring on the mobile phone. Now, the conference bridge that it uses is within Twilio, so it's scalable, and it's not going to have a limitation of what you would get if you did that from an on-prem system, obviously through hardware or software conference bridges. So the conference bridges are scalable within Twilio, so every call can be handled in the same way. Now, this also opens up opportunity for outbound calls. So if we establish a call from a call manager phone, we can select the SIP trunk to go via SpokePhone, which then allows us to have all of the rich feature set on both our outbound and our inbound calls. Now, from a call flow perspective, you can leave your in-dial ranges on your existing SIP provider, or you can go through Twilio to do that as well. Now, when we establish a call using the Twilio conference bridge, because we're not just forking the media and I suppose tromboning the media across and back, we're actually terminating the media within Twilio. We're mixing it with the other RTP streams, and then we're sending it back. So that I suppose removes or reduces the amount of issues with voice quality, given that we're actually setting up a conference bridge for each call. So it's not just tromboning the RTP stream out and back. Okay, so on that, so once we have that implemented, as I said, we're now ringing on our Cisco phone, we're ringing on our native mobile phone, and we're ringing on our Teams client, which is the demonstration that you saw. And we were controlling the transfer of the calls by the SpokePhone app. Now, one of the questions that you might have around this is, okay, well, what if I have Teams running on my mobile phone, so I don't necessarily want to use the native mobile, or I don't necessarily want to use the Teams client? Well, you can choose, I suppose, which app you use. You still have the control from Spoke, and then you can have that ringing on yours or another mobile. Some mobiles have you know, multiple SIM cards and those sort of things. But generally speaking, you'd have desk phone, Teams desktop, and then your SpokePhone app, and that would give you all of the functionality for seamless transfers, but also, as we've gone through with Jason, the enhanced functionality as well. So a full integration model, this would allow you to integrate all of your systems, and the idea with this design would be that that would be your standard way of managing calls and telephony moving forward, where your desk phone can be used when the users are in the office, and the desk phone with a headset could be used with the SpokePhone app doing the guided conversation and the CRM integration. Out of the office, then you can answer the call on your SpokePhone app or your mobile phone, or if you're working remotely, you can still answer the call remotely or in the office on Teams. The other option that we have is the overlay model. So this is where we can provide an ability to build I suppose, a business continuity plan whereby we can move in or out of the office as a whole business and just forward our phones into SpokePhone. Now, this could happen from the carrier, in which case we would forward via the carrier PSTN into SpokePhone, or it can land on the SBC and then be forwarded out. Obviously, that requires a SIP trunk in this case, and in this case, it would be coming in via the PSTN into Twilio. If you're forwarding from the site, then you're limited by the SBC capacity for inbound, outbound calls. As long as that's scaled properly, then you should have no issue being remote and being able to, as a business continuity process, being able to answer the calls on the SpokePhone app. This model is also used in the case of where we talk about supercharging your existing phone system. We can, obviously, for those companies who don't have a mobility process for users, this provides an overlay to provide enterprise mobility for users for telephony. So in the case of, and the ones that we've worked on outside of Teams, obviously is Cisco Call Manager, and we're also doing the integration on Avaya, and Jason's US team has also sold this into a customer who's deployed it, a Fortune 500 customer who's deployed it on a Mitel solution. So this overlay feature and function to enhance your existing phone system is quite powerful as well. So there's different ways that we can do it. The idea of overlay and migration is that you gradually, I suppose, replace existing infrastructure with SpokePhone over time, and you have the ability to get the users to adopt the technology without risking the, I suppose, the lack of take-up of adoption and issues that could be associated with a complete cutover. So if we build the overlay first, then we can gradually migrate over time, and that allows companies to divest from their existing infrastructure and move to the full cloud environment. I think when we do it this way, as an overlay and then a migration, that will allow companies to experience and build the rich feature set, and then move eventually to a full-blown SpokePhone solution. So there's lots of flavors of this and lots of different integrations. You can have Spoke with Teams, you can have Spoke with Cisco, or you can do the integration model where we pull different systems together. So it's quite powerful and quite easy to deploy as well. So as I mentioned before, as a SpokePhone Platinum Build partner, ITIC is available to assist you if you'd like to build this, build a sandbox, play with it in a lab, and get to know the product and get your hands on the technology. So at this point, what I'll do is I'll move into Q&A. So everyone's on pretty much, I think, on mute, but feel free to go off mute and ask any questions, burning questions that you've had through the presentation. I'll leave it on this slide. So if you are looking to get more information or get your hands on the sandbox to play with, we've got a QR code that you can scan, or the direct URL. There's just a few questions on a form that you need to fill out, and then we'll get back to you with that. And from an ITIC perspective, if you want to connect with us on social to follow what we're doing, you've also got the QR codes there that you can scan and connect. So I suppose at this point I'll throw it open to any questions that you might have specifically around the deployment or in general for Jason and the team at SpokePhone. May that be the case. Any questions, anyone? Oh, I can see Matt's gone off mute.
How does the commercials work around this, and you know, is this licensed, or how does that work?
Yeah, so from a commercial perspective, I'll hand over to Jason. Yep, so it's licensed on a per user basis.
Yeah, it's a typical SaaS licensing product, Matt. if you fill out the form, we can get you some idea of that. You can also go to our website and see there is obviously a rebate model as well. So if you are deploying this through your customer base, there is a license rebate from us, and of course you'll be charging for implementation services and support, whatever else you do in your business.
Okay, thanks. The other thing is this purely on like a phone app, or would it would you have an app or run on a desktop, or to control it? Or
so it's a good point. We're 100% mobile first, mobile only right now. We are concentrating on mobile employee enablement and helping companies take their legacy platforms into the mobile age. We will be releasing a plugin for a browser next year, but it will remote control the phone that's in your pocket. It won't be an RDP session.
Yeah. No, I think that would probably be useful too. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I think with the remote control through the browser, I mean, the thing that we demonstrated within the video where we transferred between, the desk phone and Teams, that will be obviously there and available through the browser. That will potentially open up a different type of user. So this is aimed for, I suppose, the integration piece, and then the user digital transformation, business transformation piece. When we get it to a desktop-based browser, then that will open up, I suppose, a few different use cases, which I think are important to address as well. Okay, so what we'll do at this point, I think we'll be sending out a link to everyone who attended for the video, and also I'll confirm with you if you haven't had a chance to write down the URL there. We'll send you those details. Thank you very much for everyone for attending. It's been good to connect with everyone and see the response to the video and to the work that we've been doing at ITIC, and we're very pleased to have become a SpokePhone Platinum Build partner, and we look forward to the opportunity to work with everyone on the call moving forward and into the future, and make some good change in the way that businesses operate. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate it, and watch out for the email and the LinkedIn posts that'll be following. So thanks a lot and have a great day. Thank you for your time.